In a recent interview with Matt Shakman, the director of the Fantastic Four First Steps, he was asked about Doctor Doom and the role he'll play in First Steps. Shakman only had this to say in response: "Doom is not a part of my film and therefore not a part of my purview," which goes against a lot of the speculation that fans had in the lead up to First Steps. Everybody assumed that at some point in this movie we would get the first appearance of Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom, giving fans the sizzle that they need in the lead up to Avengers Doomsday. So in today's video we are going to talk about Doctor Doom's first appearance in the MCU and the best way that they could introduce him in an upcoming film. Now, despite Matt Shakman's comments, I think the potential is still there to see Doctor Doom in a post-credit scene. Shakman said very specifically that Doom isn't a part of his film. That doesn't mean that a post-credit scene could have been potentially directed by the Russos on the set of Doomsday, similar to how they filmed the post-credit scene for Thunderbolts. Now, in the lead up to making this video, I reread the 2015 Secret Wars miniseries, just to get some ideas on how things could play out in Doomsday and later on in Secret Wars. Something a lot of fans are worried about when it comes to introducing Doctor Doom so last minute is that he's not going to have the same build-up that Thanos had over the course of 6 years. And yeah, while they were building up Thanos as a threat, we never truly saw him in action until Avengers Infinity War's opening scene. And I think Doom can work in the MCU without any build-up. He just needs a big moment like this. The scale of how big of a threat Thanos was is established in that opening scene by having him defeat two of the strongest characters on the Avengers. So we'll need something similar at the start of Doomsday in order to set the stakes for the rest of the movie. Now, as soon as Doomsday was announced, a lot of people were throwing up this image from Secret Wars, and I understand why. It's an awesome visual. The thing is that the context really matters when you look at this image. This isn't painting a picture of just how powerful Doctor Doom is, because if you've read Secret Wars, you know that this is actually God Doom, a much more powerful version of Doom that we'll probably be seeing in the Secret Wars adaptation, but I've seen a lot of people have the expectation that this is how they'll open Doomsday, by having Doctor Doom destroy a variant of Thanos right out the gate. And yes, that would set the stakes in a similar manner as Thanos defeating Thor and the Hulk. But the thing is, Doom is a very different threat compared to Thanos. Thanos is a character that thrives and gets by using purely his power and strength, whereas Doom's main strength is his intelligence. So they need to convey how Doom is a threat not by a display of power, but instead they need to convey his level of genius compared to a character like Reed Richards or even Tony Stark. It's also very hard to set your expectation of what the movie will be like compared to this comic run. Secret Wars as a storyline isn't very accessible if you're just coming off of watching the MCU. It deals with the 50 plus years of Marvel canon that existed at that time. And there are a lot of really weird and sometimes even confusing things that happen in Secret Wars. One of the big players of the storyline is Molecule Man, a Marvel supervillain who has existed since the 1960s, and in the lead up of the storyline is revealed that the Beyonders turned every variant of Molecule Man across the multiverse into a multiverse destroying bomb. This is where Doctor Doom teams up with Doctor Strange, the two confront the Beyonders, things go sideways, and the final two universes left in the multiverse, Earth 616 and the Ultimate Universe, face an incursion that results in the death of all universes, only for Battleworld to be created from the ashes by Doctor Doom, who, with Doctor Strange's blessing, absorbed all of the Beyonders' power into becoming God Emperor Doom. So there's a lot happening behind the scenes of this storyline for you to kinda just run with. If you weren't aware of all of these concepts, then Secret Wars as a storyline would be really confusing. And compared to the Infinity Gauntlet storyline that was adapted in Infinity War, it's a lot more intricate than the simple storyline of collect the gems and receive ultimate power. Now, I don't think Doomsday is going to try and cram in concepts like Molecule Man with no time to really explain what's going on there. There is a very streamlined version of doing this, and Loki is really the key of telling that story. He allows the multiverse to live by rearranging it as the World Tree, and the throne he sits on is right at at its center, which is a detail that is taken straight from Secret Wars. On Battleworld, the throne of God Emperor Doom is the World Tree, and with Tom Hiddleston's casting as Loki in Doomsday, I wonder if the Russo brothers are just going to set him up to be killed early on in the movie yet again. Or it is possible that maybe Loki will be our Molecule Man type figure going into Secret Wars. So the way the comic storyline goes, Reed Richards and a couple other heroes from Earth 616 and some from the Ultimate Universe wake up having been in stasis on Battleworld after 8 years. Now during the final incursion between the Ultimate Universe and 616, Reed Richards is the sole survivor of the Fantastic Four and Future Foundation, leading to Doom recreating Reed's family at the inception of Battleworld, and makes himself Sue Storm's husband and the father of Reed Richards' children. This leads to their final battle. Molecule Man strips Doom of all of his power, and during their battle, goads Doom into confessing that Reed Richards would have made a better god than Doom. Having heard that, Molecule Man gives Reed the power and recreates Earth 616. So imagine Loki, who is the god of the multiverse currently, filling the Molecule Man role in this storyline, taking away for both of these movies that are probably going to be between 2.5 to 3 hours, the need to set up a new character like Molecule Man when Loki is right there. And this could also lead to the end of Loki's storyline with recreating the multiverse, which is something that Molecule Man, the Fantastic Four, and Future Foundation all work on at the end of this comics run. Now that was done just because Marvel really wanted to stop making Fantastic Four comics at that time, but this is only the beginning of getting Fantastic Four in the MCU. And this storyline doesn't have a very conclusive end for Doom. With the recreation of Earth 616, that also means Doctor Doom is back in Latveria. And this would be the perfect way to set up the future of the MCU that now includes mutants, the Fantastic Four, and the Avengers. Kind of an all-new soft reboot of the MCU, which I'm gonna be honest, I think the MCU kind of needs right now. Not a full reboot, but instead keep what works and get rid of what doesn't. I think that's gonna do it for today's topic though. We're gonna wrap this video up by answering a mailbag question. If you have a question you want to be answered in a future video, leave it down in the comments below with the hashtag mailbag. Today's question comes from Tim of Hanlon. They ask, do you think we will see more Thunderbolts or new Avengers movies in the next saga? Will there be space for the team in the new saga? While Thunderbolts has been a critical success, it hasn't done too well at the box office. Will Disney and Marvel take that risk again? Thank you so much, that's a great question. Now, I think it all depends on how popular Thunderbolts is once it's released on digital and home media. All Disney had to gauge the interest in this property was based fully on box office receipts. I was kind of shocked that the most we got from the Thunderbolts merchandise, at least from what I've seen in stores, were from the Funko Pops. Now, Thunderbolts is aimed at a much older audience compared to other Marvel movies, so I didn't expect a big turnout on toy shelves, but normally stores like Hot Topic or Box Lunch will have a ton of merchandise for any Marvel-related property when they release in theaters. I'm not saying the merch didn't exist at all, it was just extremely limited. And the reason I bring that up is because merchandising sales typically dwarf the box office receipts a movie will have. It's how a lot of the board members at Disney are going to be convinced to make a Thunderbolt sequel. Now, my hopes for a follow-up to the Multiverse Saga is for Marvel to lean more heavily on team-ups like what we got with Thunderbolts. I remember walking out of Avengers Endgame with my head spinning thinking about all of the potential team-up movies we would see in Phase 4, the most exciting of which was Thor joining the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, that was something that both Taika Waititi and James Gunn were uninterested in doing, and I have to admit I really like what James Gunn was able to do with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but I feel like the potential for a Thor in the Guardians movie would have been a lot better than whatever we got in Love and Thunder. I'm going to say I think the future of the MCU exists in team-ups. Those are just my thoughts though. Thank you so much for that question, and a reminder, if you want to leave your own, drop it in the comments with the hashtag mailbag. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.